One of the most empowering and impactful things I have realised relates to the power of solving problems, not just on the surface level, but looking deeper to their source and removing the root of the problem so that the surface problem no longer needs to surface. To be truly great and strong at what we do, like the tallest trees, we need deep and strong roots. And if we have problems with deep roots and we remove those roots, those problems can no longer stand. We live in a world where we have been taught that fixing problems is about addressing the symptoms on a surface level. For example, in health, it's common practice to look to the common cold, for example, and treat the symptoms with various pills and potions to get a solution from the outside in. Yet, when we understand how things work from a new perspective, our actions will very likely change in line with our new understanding. This is because our inner world always precedes our outer world. And when we change how we see our world from within, we show up differently and do differently as a result. Hippocrates, widely regarded as the father of medicine, is quoted as saying the following: "Everyone has a doctor in him or her. We just have to help it in its work. The natural healing force within each one of us is the greatest force in getting well." That's powerful. And whilst it obviously applies to health, which is not the main focus of this episode, I will start with an example of how that can play out and then relate what can be learned from that when it comes to working with the mind and emotions, which is the main direction we're going in here. With the common cold example, instead of seeing those body symptoms as sickness that need an outside fix, an empowering perspective to realize is that the body only knows healing and adapting to the environment it's put in, with the purpose of keeping us here and leveling up to be the best version of itself it can be. And that what we regard as symptoms can be viewed as healing responses and examples of the body's natural healing force within, which is the same intelligence in the body that knows how to beat our heart, how to assimilate sunlight, how to digest the food we eat, absorb nutrients from it, and get rid of what it doesn't need, and more. And the language that our body speaks in is always expressions of healing and feelings. Back to the common cold example, we can understand that it's the body detoxing from things that don't belong in there, whether chemicals in food and water, toxic emotions, or other environmental pollutants. The body is trying to get them out as an expression of its innate intelligence and its propensity to optimally adapt to the environment it's been put in. Related to that, we can understand that we can work with the natural intelligence of our body to help put us in a position to thrive by observing its expressions of healing and realizing they are expressions of the body's innate intelligence. We can seek to understand why it's doing what it's doing and work to help the body along in its process of healing and adaptation to level up. As a simple example of that, so if the body's coughing up mucus, then that's something it doesn't want to remain inside. It's like how we throw out the trash that doesn't belong in the house. If the body expresses a fever and begins to sweat, it's another way that the body is taking out the trash and getting things out that don't belong in the body, this time through the skin. So understanding what the body's doing and why, as a result of its natural intelligence, we can work with it. So if the body's creating a fever and sweating, we can work with that presentation and help it along, perhaps by increasing our body temperature and encouraging more sweating by wrapping up warm, turning up the heat in the room we're in, or perhaps going to the sauna, which is something I love to do. We can also help mop up toxins by various supplements such as charcoal and other substances known to help pull toxins from the body. there are other things we can do too, as health is holistic and it includes many areas, not just what we eat and how we move. The point here in this segment, which is not medical advice, it's learning to look beneath the surface level of what shows up in our experience, understanding why our innate intelligence is expressing what it's expressing from the inside out, and working with that to level up and create the results that we want. And that absolutely relates to our psychology too. Getting to the main part of this podcast, what I want to focus on now is psychological health and thoughts and feelings that show up that can appear to get in the way of us being at our best and creating the results we want. Thoughts are felt in the body, they're form. Thought creates feeling. And like the body expresses the language of health via responses to the environment it's put in and the inputs it's given, the thoughts and corresponding emotions we experience are also an example of that and that can be worked with accordingly. When the body presents problems from thoughts and feelings, it can be easy to input things from outside in that distract ourselves from them, such as watching TV, engaging in relationships and conversations that don't serve us to be at our best, or doing things that numb ourselves from those thoughts and feelings, such as overindulging in food, drinking excessively, or partaking in other activities to basically not face the thoughts and feelings that surface. Now, those activities don't solve the problems, and unfortunately, it's what many people often do. However, we can work with what's being presented psychologically and look beneath that to find an effective solution. Earl Nightingale once said, "If you don't have a good model for success, just look at what everyone else is doing and do the opposite." In this case, instead of distracting and numbing ourselves from thoughts and feelings that are uncomfortable that come up, we can also see them as a sign of the intelligence within the body communicating responses to our inputs that we can work with to create the outputs we prefer. We can see our problems like a healing response and ultimately an opportunity to adapt and level up. And to solve problems, you have to move through them. A recent example of this that came up for me and some people I was coaching was on the subject of how to address self-doubt. Now, we've probably all had moments of doubting our ability to do something, perhaps doing public speaking or musically playing a certain piece or achieving certain levels of skill, such as technique and more fluency at our instrument. Rather than seeing the occurrence of such thoughts of self doubt, such as, I don't know if I can do this, maybe I'm not cut out for this, maybe I'm not good enough, and other thoughts that create feelings that are uncomfortable and that it's easy to run away and hide from them. And we've all done this to some extent. Now, when those thoughts, feelings come up, we can see them as pivot points that we can respond to, and as a result, help us level up to the point that those thoughts don't need to occur anymore because we've addressed the root cause of the problem and the body no longer needs to express it and get our attention with it. Remember, our inner world precedes our outer world. And when we change the way we see our world, it changes how we show up and what we do. For example, the thought, I don't know if I can do this, can be reframed to, if other people can do this, so can I. We're made of the same stuff. Maybe I'm not cut out for this, can be reframed as, when I began playing, I had and still have natural talent and ability, and lots of things came easy to me. But some things just take a bit more work to be able to do. And if I put the work in, I'll be able to do those things, which will prove to me that I am cut out for this. I'm not good enough can be reframed to, fundamentally, I am good enough. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here on the planet. So I am enough. And to meet the standards I see that I want to experience myself doing, then it's about doing the things that create that experience through focus and, again, putting in the work required. Having such self awareness to see what's coming up for you and reframing in a more positive and empowering way creates corresponding feelings, which can go a long way in helping us take the action we need to and choose to. We know that if we put the required work in, we will get results that help us develop a healthy sense of self worth in the process. When we see ourselves improving our skills and abilities to a level greater than we could before, we build a self image of self esteem and confidence based on our actions, and knowing that's a great start. However, contrary to popular belief, knowledge alone isn't power. Knowledge is indeed very useful, and having the best knowledge we can find is a real key to success in getting the results we want, such as by learning from a mentor who's achieved the results we want to experience, and by them showing what they've learned, they can help us shortcut the process somewhat by helping us avoid the mistakes that they made. And again, and however, knowledge on its own and knowing what to do isn't enough. We must apply what we know to do. It's in this way knowledge is not power. The power is in applying our knowledge. When we do that by taking action, we learn what works and what doesn't work. And in the process of learning by doing, we can develop wisdom of how to apply the knowledge we have more effectively. The true power is wisdom, which comes as a result of acting on what we know to do and reflecting on the process as we go and shaping our future output with more discernment. If we know this and we still don't take action, then what is it stops us doing what we know to do to get the results we want? As I see it, it's often because we don't want to feel the feeling of not being enough, which is by nature uncomfortable to feel. And because we don't want to feel that feeling, we can procrastinate and not do the work, such as by watching TV, checking social media, and a whole host of other ways to quickly feel better and avoid feeling that discomfort. And many people do this unconsciously based on previous experiences. For example, it may have been based on a childhood experience of little Johnny or Jane getting a question wrong in the classroom at school and feeling not enough because of that. And not wanting to experience that feeling again, they never attempted to answer another question to avoid the risk of feeling that discomfort. And it can also be not knowing that there is a way to move beyond not feeling enough. When we know better, it leads to showing up and doing better. The only way to grow is by embracing discomfort. If we are healing, there's discomfort. If we want to build muscle by lifting weights, there's discomfort. If we want to develop a new skill in muscle memory at our instrument, there is discomfort. To move through the feelings of self-doubt and not feeling enough when we're faced with a goal we want to achieve, we must take action. And as I refer to it, we must outwork our self-doubt. Certain songs I have learned in the past have been quite challenging, and there have been things that I can play now with ease that I couldn't play before. What I needed to do in those cases was figure out what I needed to do. For example, clarify the structure and the parts involved in practice until I could do it. And in every case, that took repetition and at first not being able to do it. And in other words, I had to fail my way to success. And what I mean by that is by attempting something and at first not being able to do it well, I'm at the level of learning known as conscious incompetence. One of the 4 levels of mastery that I cover in more detail in my Excelsior Basics drumming course. And when I've taken action towards something, even if I haven't mastered it yet, which is key because I know that I can with more practice, I've made some progress that I can reflect on to identify what I need to do next to level up and achieve my outcome. When it's a big goal that we have, it can sometimes appear overwhelming to work out all that's required to achieve it. And something I continue to find helpful is to break down larger goals into smaller bite size chunks. After all, we don't eat our dinner in one big gulp, we break it down into bite sized chunks. A great way to get clear on what those bite sized chunks are is to ask these two simple and powerful questions. What's my outcome? What's my next action that will move me towards that outcome? What's my outcome? That could be learning a song until I can play it correctly and with ease to the point of not having to think about it. And what's my next action? That could be getting the intro section nailed, or more granularly, perhaps just the intro drum part. When I'm clear on the steps, or at least the next step to take, it's merely a matter of taking those steps. As an example, I love walking, and a while ago I set the goal of walking at least 15,000 steps a day, which is something that I now have a regular habit of. And still, the only way I can do that is one step at a time. And I can't skip any of those steps to walk those 15k plus of them. To achieve that result consistently, I just need to keep taking those steps until I've achieved my outcome. And it's the same with any goal you have. You merely have to take the steps to achieve your outcome. And sometimes you will feel uncomfortable in the process, but that's part of the process. So getting comfortable feeling uncomfortable is a useful modus operandi to implement. The more we achieve the goals we have and outwork our self-doubt to prove that we are enough, we develop self-esteem and confidence as a result of doing. And in doing so, the body doesn't need to express those original thoughts of self-doubt relative to those situations. We have worked with our body's innate intelligence and helped it level up in our current phase of being all we can be. Here's the thing. Just like the body will continue to get our attention and express healing responses and help alert us to things that we can do to optimize, as that's what it does, again, healing and adaptation to keep us here and level up. Similarly, so will the mind. Perceptions of self-doubt and not feeling enough will likely surface again, just as healing responses such as the common cold fill in the blank can, and it's natural. And with an understanding of what's happening as a result of our body's innate intelligence alerting us to opportunities to adapt and level up, a knowledge and wisdom of how to work with that to create the results we want, we can look beyond the surface level and address the root so that the surface level problem doesn't need to show up anymore. The more we have success in doing this, and I invite you to acknowledge your successes as you create them, acknowledge them every day, we develop more self-esteem and confidence in our abilities, which we can use as leverage. We are proving to ourselves that we have tools that inform and empower us, and we have what it takes to continue to move forward, taking on new challenges and leveling up exponentially to be all we can be. What's something that's been surfacing for you? And reflecting on it, what is it that's underneath that you can address at the root level and act on to help you level up and get the results that you want? Whatever shows up, I invite you to know that you have what it takes. You can do this. And as you look within and your answers emerge and you take action, here's to your ongoing success, working with your natural intelligence to create the life that you want.